Hey everybody, Todd Orchai here from PM Assist with our latest free content. Today's lesson we're going to go over an introduction to LeadSimple and how to use document parsing. So let's dig right into it. In this lesson, we're going to talk about what LeadSimple is, what Zapier is, and then we're going to talk about how to use a document parser to automatically extract data so that you can take that data and put it into LeadSimple automatically. So, what is process management first? So process management is basically just the idea of getting all of your processes out of your head where you probably have them if you're like most property managers and putting them down into an actionable, usable checklist. So this is what everybody needs to do. If you haven't done it, you've got to get on this process. So that's just broadly what process management is. The most basic form of that, of course, would be just a regular paper checklist. You could do that on a Word document or a spreadsheet. Nowadays, though, there's a lot of software that is specifically designed to manage processes in the cloud that has a lot of features that can be very helpful. The best of these for property management, in my view, is LeadSimple. We get no referral fees, no compensation of any kind, no sponsorships, nothing from LeadSimple. So, I have no incentive to tell you to use LeadSimple other than the fact that I use it. I'm a believer in it, and we recommend it to all of our clients. So that's what I recommend you use. So I want to discuss a little bit about what LeadSimple is exactly. LeadSimple is basically three software packages in one. It's a CRM, which is a customer or client relationship management system. It's a process management system, and then it's also a shared inbox. The CRM portion is basically just how you manage your sales or business development process. This is getting leads in, having your BDM or you follow up with those leads, send out drip email campaigns, making sure you stay on top of processing those leads. That's how LeadSimple really started out back in the day, maybe about 10 years ago. Now, over the last few years, LeadSimple has really blossomed out into being a lot more than that. It's now also a process management system. So you can use this to manage all of the operations of your business, everything from move-ins and move-outs to accounting, basically everything imaginable. So that's really at the heart of LeadSimple now. Even though it started as a CRM, it's really become more of a process management system. And that's why we recommend it to everyone, because it's specifically geared towards property managers. The third part of LeadSimple, the newest feature, is the shared inbox system. So this is what allows you to centralize all of your communications. Your emails, your text messages, your phone calls, your notes, everything about all of your residents, owners, vendors, anybody you interact with, it's all stored in LeadSimple. And the beauty of this, since your CRM, your process management, and your communications are all in the same software, it means you can basically, you and your staff can spend about 90% of your time in this one software package. Now, what is Zapier? We're going to cover Zapier really in depth in future videos. Today's just going to be a quick intro. Zapier basically allows you to connect thousands of different software packages. So everything you can imagine, anything from Google Sheets to automated gift certificates being sent out. I mean, just anything you can imagine. Zapier can connect to just about anything that's on the internet. So one example of this that would be very useful for a property manager would be connecting LeadSimple to a software called Click to Mail, so that you could automatically send out a letter for an eviction notice to a tenant by certified mail. And all you have to do that is click a button in LeadSimple and it all happens automatically. That's what Zapier allows you to do. You can also do things like run calculations in the background. This helps you to avoid errors. There's just so much you can do with Zapier. So, we'll go through obviously a lot more of Zapier in future lessons, but I wanted to mention that because that's how we connect the document parser we're going to talk about with LeadSimple. So, what is a document parser? Well, a document parser can basically take any kind of document, whether it's an email or a Word document, an invoice, a receipt, whatever you might have, and automatically extract whatever data you need from that document. And then you can use that in all of your processes, whether you're using LeadSimple or something else. So for example, you could receive an invoice into your document parser and automatically pull out the vendor, the dates, the items on the invoice, the amount, everything. Once it's extracted with the document parser, if you're connected to Zapier, you can then send it into LeadSimple or wherever else you need it, all automatically. You haven't even seen the email with this invoice. It all just happened behind the scenes. So as an example of how this can be used, you set it up where invoices are received from a vendor. The invoice data is extracted from your document parser. It sends it to LeadSimple, where a process is automatically assigned to your bookkeeper to process the payment on that invoice. Very simple. The bookkeeper never even had to see the invoice. Makes things so much better. So let's go into a document parser and show you what this actually looks like in practice. This is Parsor. This is the document parser that I use. We're going to go into On-Site Pros OSP invoices. This is one of our parsers that we have set up. As you can see, there's a bunch of documents in here that have been parsed. All the ones that you see that say processed are actual invoices that were automatically parsed by the system. The ones that are skipped are just the email that that document came in on. So each email comes in with an attached invoice. The only thing we care about is the attached invoice. So that's what's processed, and the email itself is skipped. So what does this document look like? This is a On-Site Pros invoice, so it just comes in looking like an invoice. But what you see over here on the right is all the data that was pulled out of that document automatically. So how does it do that? Well, it does that by setting up a template for what you need to look for in a document. So here is a template, for example. And it's going to take just a second for it to pull this up. There we go. So all these yellow boxes you see are the areas on this document that we pull data out of. We've got the invoice number, the due date, the property address, the invoice date, report type, the items on the invoice, and then, of course, the amount, the vendor name, address, and phone number. So all those are set up as fields, which is what you see over here. Whenever an invoice comes in from On-Site Pros, we automatically pull that data out, and it comes into Zapier so that we can do whatever we need to do with it. In this case, we create a LeadSimple process automatically. So how do you set one of these up? It's really easy. This is obviously Parsor. Everyone's different, but they all work in similar ways. So the way you would do this is once you set up your inbox, and you can do that as simply as clicking Create New Inbox, and then it will automatically create a new email address for you. You give that email address to On-Site Pros or your vendor, and then they will start sending their invoices to that address instead of to you. Then you set up your template. So you just come in and do New Template when you get your first document. And there we go. Okay, so this is the invoice. So this is how it would look when you first get it in. You know, you send in your first invoice that you get. You know, it's received from the vendor, so it just looks blank like this. So the way you need to create your template is just drag over the fields that you need. So we want the invoice number, so we just drag over top of that. And then we would normally need to create new fields. Since I've already created these fields, they're already here. But we'll just select it and do invoice number. We tell it what kind of field it is. In this case, it's a single line of text. And we hit save. And then we just go through and do that for all of these different fields. That's a date. This is a property address, invoice date, inspection type. This is all the data that we want to go into LeadSimple or to be used for some other purpose, basically. Single line of text. We want the amount. And if you're wondering why an On-Site Pros inspection is only $109, that's because I'm in a pretty cheap market, and I'm also on a legacy pricing plan because I've been with On-Site Pros for many, many years. And I know prices are higher nowadays, and they actually just recently increased our prices. Let's see here. On-Site Pros vendor company, vendor address. So see, we're just creating all these fields as simple as drag and drop. Vendor phone. And then On-Site Pros doesn't use these other two fields on their invoices. We don't need a subtotal or tax or anything like that. So those are all the fields we need. So now if we click Create, After putting a name in for this template, it'll create a generic name. I like to create my own, so you can put something in here like On-Site Pros. Then click Create. It will create this template. I'm not going to actually do that because we already have our templates created, but I can show you what that looks like. Once you've done that, we can click on, this is that same invoice. When it extracts data automatically, which is what it's going to do from now on after you've created this template, this is what it pulls out. So it pulls out the invoice number, the date, but this is what's really cool. It will pull out an address, so this property address, and it will actually pull out itemized data. So it verifies the address, so it does an address validation. Then it breaks it up into the number, the street, the address, the city, state, and so on. It pulls out all of this different data that you asked it to pull out. It even gives you a link to the map for the address, and it gives you a URL for the original invoice. So the purpose of that is you can send that into LeadSimple so that you can actually view a copy of the invoice without ever leaving LeadSimple. You don't need to because the process will do all that for you. But if you wanted to look at that invoice, you could. So that's how you use a document parser. From that point, you can go into Zapier and create this Zap that will automatically take all that data that was automatically extracted, and then it will create your LeadSimple process for you right here in Zapier. And then when you come over into LeadSimple, we'll go up here to our accounting task, inspection invoices. These are the invoices that we've received that it's automatically created processes for. So then you see it automatically attaches the property, the owner, the tenant, and then all that data, including the invoice, was automatically pulled into LeadSimple to create this process. So that's how that works. I know that's just a real quick brief overview for this very quick video. If you're a subscriber of PM Assist, you get a full 1 hour plus long video that shows how to actually do all this in a little bit more detail so that you can actually build it. But for the purpose of this quick preview video, that's what we can show you. Next video, we're going to be going over our custom lease agreement, just like we went over our custom management agreement in prior videos. So we'll actually spend the next few lessons going over that, since that's really in-depth content. We'll cover important clauses in our free videos, like what you're seeing here. If you have a full subscription to our PM Assist Insider, then we'll go through every paragraph of that management or that lease line by line, and then give you an editable copy that you can use in your business. So I hope you found this interesting. Hope to see you back again in a couple of weeks for our next video.